Oops, I think my mute button was on there. So let me see. I might have hit it by accident in the middle of when I was talking. I thought I had turned it off. So let me start over. We're going to take a look today at the attendance reports in the membership module. We're going to look at some of the preset reports, not at list labels, adding attendance criteria. What we're going to look at is what's under reports and attendance, the summary by person, the summary by event group class, the attendance worksheet, and the attendance report. Before we get started though, a few quick notes. If it's your first time using the GoToWebinar toolbar, on that is a little reddish orange arrow. If you click on that, it's along the side of it. If you click on that, it closes up the GoToWebinar toolbar so it's not blocking what I'm showing you on screen. To open it back up, you just click that little arrow. Ross is in the room with us today, and he is going to answer questions as I'm showing the material. If you have a question about the attendance reports, go ahead and type that in the panel, and he'll answer that for you. And then at the end of what I'm showing you, we'll open the floor to type questions in, and I'll read them out loud and answer them for everyone to hear. Just for the benefit of people who are here for the attendance reports, we only typically take about 20 minutes with these, and we have 4 reports to look at. Try to keep your questions topical. If you have a question about a different module or something else in membership, we'd be happy to answer that, but it might be better to email or call support, especially if it pertains to your data and why you're getting certain results. That'd be best handled through a support call or email. All right, one more quick note. The workbooks, we just had a big flash sale on those. And if you own the workbooks or if you're considering buying the workbooks, the material I am using today to show you this is taken straight from the Membership 202 workbook. And on our website, if you click on Beginning up along the top and then click on Training Workbooks, that takes you right to the page where our workbooks are available. Membership 202. Right here about the middle of the page, recording and reporting on attendance. That is the book that this material is coming from, the very end of the book. We're not going to look at setting up attendance or taking attendance. That's an entirely different webinar. On our website, you can search for keywords with this little magnifying glass in the upper right, and I'm pretty sure you can find some pre-recorded videos, even documents maybe on setting up attendance in groups and classes and recording that. What we're looking at is the reports you can produce once you've actually taken attendance. So without further ado, let's look at the attendance worksheet. It's good to print out the attendance worksheet first. What this is a worksheet that you can hand to your different teachers or have for events and mark people as having attended, and even record some other bits of information for groups or classes, and produce those reports, based on what you entered in attendance. So let's go ahead and click on Reports and then Attendance. And first we'll look at that attendance worksheet, which again is good for taking attendance. So this isn't going to really give you information about who attended. This is a worksheet for you to use to take attendance. Now, as you notice, in your book, or if you have an older book, it might look similar to what you're seeing on the screen. Attendance changed drastically, I believe, in 18. There's been so many changes for 17, 18, 19. I honestly can't remember when some of the changes occurred, but I'm pretty sure attendance changed drastically in 18. And it actually has a lot of the same functionality of the old attendance in the older modules, but there's a lot more to it. If you look at your screen and it looks similar, you might not have as many tabs across the top. I noticed in the book, the most current book versus what's on the screen, some of the tabs where they are, the location has changed, but the functionality is the same. So what I'm showing you may differ slightly from your version, or if you have older workbooks, it might differ slightly, but the functionality should be about the same. All right. Also, in all of these reports, you're going to see some of the same tabs across the top because we only have 20 minutes. Some of these tabs that have the same function on all of the reports, I'll click on them, so you can see them, but we're not going to discuss them in great detail. We'll just look at them on this one, and then I'll remind you they're on the other ones, but they function the same. All right, the first screen we have for attendance worksheet is the options screen. Upper left, we can choose a date range. We can click the drop down arrows and choose dates from the calendar. Maybe we just want a worksheet that is for January to hand. Well, actually, let's do this month. So for doing the month, I like to just click on today and then go back, and my calendar is already in April. I can click on April 1st. And now April 30th. Maybe we're a little behind, but we want a calendar for April. You know what would make more sense? Let's do one for next month. We're getting ready for May. All right, so we'll do a calendar for May. You also have the year buttons where when I first entered, it was showing all of 2017. By clicking minus year or plus year, it would jump ahead or back and just fill those dates right in for you. You can determine on your worksheet, is this going to show the meeting frequency as daily, weekly, monthly, or you can even do blanks. And notice what I choose will give me different options below that. If I say weekly, I can choose which day of the week. If I choose monthly, I can say how often it repeats and then what day. And then blanks, there I just choose how many columns, and this would be like a blank worksheet where you can fill names in. And it just has dates across the top. I think you can even fill the dates in as well. We'll go with weekly for time's sake. I have a hard time keeping things to 20 minutes. If you've assigned roles, you can ask to include group and class members with certain roles. We'll just leave that blank. You can also include additional information if you've set up things you're going to record for groups classes, like they brought their Bible, brought a friend, learned the verses. You can ask to show those columns as well. We're going to just add all this so you can see everything. We can put some blank lines at the end, and that would allow us, maybe somebody new attended. We could put their name in there. And include a V for visitor after visitor names. All right, if we move over to the right side, we can choose from our events or our groups classes. And what we have checked here will determine how big our list is in these two drop downs. If we just ask for events, then it closes out category department, and all we have available is the events drop down where it just shows us events, versus if we leave both of those checked, we have this big long list we have to go through. But if we uncheck events, then we'll just see our groups and classes, and we can narrow down to a certain category or division and see less in the box below. For today, let's just go with events, and we'll look at our Sunday AM worship. Actually, I want to show you both. On the People tab, here's where we could add criteria if we like. Maybe we just want to see the girls who are in a certain group or class, or just the boys. We could ask for that criteria in the upper left. The fields, that's to me the same as columns. We're determining what is going to be on the report, what information it's going to pull for the people who are in the group or class or eligible to attend an event. We can move things back and forth. Maybe we don't need their birth date, so we can click on that and move it back over with the arrows. We can also determine the order. Maybe we want their home phone first, using the arrows, the up and down arrows to the side. We can relabel the name of the column header if we want by just clicking here in the report field label. Maybe we just want to call it address. And we can even determine what family members it gives us information for as well. And, oops, I thought there was a column. Oh, here we go. The second, there's so many tabs on this one. The fourth tab we have is the row height and column width. So we can determine how high each column is. And for the personal information, it puts with their name over the side how wide that is, and then how wide our date columns are. We have a sort tab where we can choose how the information will be sorted. Some different sorts based on the last name and the first name versus the family name and whether it will group the family together. We have a fonts and lines tab where you can choose different font size and type for the page header, the column headers, or the body text. And then reset to default. If you change these, you can always reset it to what the program comes with, or the default, by clicking that reset to default. Oftentimes people, when they see that button on a tab, they'll change something and they think they need to click on that. And if you click that after you make a change, it's going to change it back. So once you change something, if you want to keep that, you don't want to reset to default. Now on this attendance worksheet, it used to be lines, just a line grid. Instead of lines, there's up and down lines, but there's shading for each of the lines, and you can choose grid shading or vertical line shading, and that shading helps you to see one line from the other so they don't all kind of blur together. If you're including headings, if you want some headings at the top, you can create those. Now we have some we already created. If you click the little drop down arrow here, you'll see what you've already made. And here we see at the top we have opted to put some headings for enrollment, where we can put numbers, the attendance totals, visitors total, and whether they brought an offering. I could edit this if I want by clicking the little pencil, or I can click the plus sign, I think I might have accidentally hit that, and put in new headings if I'd like. And when I do that, it makes the screen blank, and then you just click here and type what you'd like to have as a heading and how much spacing you want. Let's go ahead and we'll just put the original one. If you need to delete one that's in here, you just select it and click the minus at the end of the line. I didn't really build anything there. I just wanted you to know it's available because we're already at 11 after. Let me go ahead and hit print so you can just see this report really quickly. And we only did 1 month, so we're only seeing 4 columns going across. Maybe you'd want to do it for an entire quarter and fill the page a little more. If I'd like, I could turn it landscape as well. I know a lot of times people like to see this landscape. They put more dates on the page and turn it sideways. But here we see at the top, let me make it a little larger in case your eyes are like mine. There we go. So we see at the top all the headings we added, and then for each person it's putting their name, address, and we didn't ask for anything else. I think I asked for the phone number, but maybe I removed that. I'm not recalling. Oh, some people don't have numbers, so that's why we're not seeing them for everybody. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next report. Again, this is a whirlwind tour. If you need more detail about this, definitely the workbooks are very useful, and you can call and ask questions as well. Once you've taken attendance, there's a variety of reports based on whether you need just a summary or lots of detail. Let's go ahead and look at the first one. We have the summary by person. And the summary by person, we can do 2 formats, a summary or a detail. And notice when I choose summary versus detail, I don't have quite so many options here. My group and sort, group and sort goes away when I choose detail. So for summary, I can choose the date range I'd like. I have the option of attended any selected, meaning over to the right here, anything I've selected at least once. Or I can put in a number of times. With the summary, I do not have the option to ask for just people who did not attend. You have to ask for detail to do the did not attend. Now, let me go ahead. We'll just choose Sunday worship again. Now, the people tab, columns tab, that is like the fields tab. Group and sort tab, we didn't have that on the other report. Group and sort, we can choose to how our information will be sorted. Here we're doing it alphabetically by name, but you can sort by any of these fields, and you can have up to 3 sorts. So I could sort first by name, then second by another field, and so on. We're just going to leave it alphabetic, but I want you to know this tab is here. And then the fonts and lines, that functions the same way, although we only have grid shading lines here. And if I hit print, this is just summarizing for me the name of the person, the last date they attended, and I also have the communion column, so it's telling me how many times they attended that. Let's go back here. I want to make sure. So here let me take away communion. I think more often we see the times attended here and the last event attended. We often see that. So this is more like what I normally see. I probably would want to maybe increase the spacing because that's a lot of numbers altogether. We can do that really easily on this columns tab by just, I think we need to bump up the number columns, give a little more spacing in between by making each column a little larger. All I'm doing is clicking the little up arrow to make that a little larger there. So click print. Oops, maybe I made it a little too large because it's putting the other one to the second page. But if I went up and did page setup landscape, that fits nicely on one page. Or I could go back and adjust my columns as well. I don't like how that 9 is right up against that last date attendance, so I'd play with that some and get it just the way I wanted it. All right, let me go ahead and let's move on and look at the third report. If I go to reports and attendance, and let's look at the summary by event, group, class. This report, I think it's even more of a summary. We don't even get names. It's just totals. We can put in our date range. The report format can either be per each meeting date, give us a monthly total, or an annual total. Sometimes people want percentages. This one, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, has a percentage where it will give it to you based on monthly or annual, whichever you chose. You can have it order this by the date or by the actual category. Let's go ahead. Let's check everything. Let's look at everything here. So we'll look at all our events, all our groups, classes. I don't think I pointed out because there's just so much you can do with this program. Right up here at the top of the column, if I want to check everything, I can check this little box and it checks everything for me. So that's handy if you want to see everything. Columns. Now we have some different things we could add here. So I want you to see this columns tab. Just because it functions the same, take a look at the different columns available on the different reports because the functionality is the same, but you probably have some different columns you may not be aware of. And then fonts and lines, functions just like the one we looked at on the attendance report. Let's click print and take a look. This is a nice little summarization. And remember, I printed everything, so here we're looking at, oh, it's giving us, because I think I did annual. Well, I made it. Let's look at a different date range. Let me go back. I don't think I have as much in here as I thought I did. So we're just going to go back to 2016. There we go, a little more in there. But you can see mostly what we put attendance in here for our test data is our Sunday AM worship. But we're getting per meeting date, totals, members, visitors, and a total. And that is determined when you mark attendance. That is the actual individual names you can check off. And that is the total of the names that have been checked off. Notice total and counted are different numbers because this is looking at, total is looking at the names you checked off versus counted. In the attendance entry screen, there's a little box where you can enter a number of how many were counted. That is what is entered in that box. So that number could differ based on what you type in that box if you use that versus the actual number of names you checked off. So that's why you're seeing different numbers here. There's not a problem in the program. It's just that somebody put a different number in the counted box versus how many people they actually checked off names for. And you can do both of those or either or. You don't have to put a counted in if you don't want. All right, let's look at the last report. 4 reports in 20 minutes is hard for me because, like I said, I like to talk. All right. The last thing we want to look at is the attendance report, and this gives you the most detail. Option screen looks really similar to what we've seen on the attendance worksheet. We can choose our date range. I'm just going to hit minus year because I think we got more in for 2016. We can choose to include people with a certain role. We can indicate people who did not attend, whether they took communion, put a visitor indicator by their name. For groups or classes, we can show details, the details of like additional information if we record that, individual totals and date totals. Let's go ahead, we'll choose, here we'll look at everything. The people tab, that's where we can enter criteria, combine membership criteria if we like. On the fields tab, that is where we would choose the columns we like, and notice we have columns. I think you can add just about anything from the membership records. Row height and column widths, we can determine our row height, the column width for the personal information where it would show their name and whatever other fields that pertain to that specific person. And then the date column width, we can adjust that as well. can choose how we want to sort based on the last name, keeping families together based on, maybe different last names in a family, and whether we're including teachers, if we've indicated who the teacher is for a group or class, where they will show in the list as well. And a font and lines tab, same as the other one. And if we hit print, this is going to be probably a lot of pages because I asked for all my groups and classes. Maybe not, because we may not have as much information in there as you guys do. Well, oh, this is just our adult choir. I'm like, why is this so small? We've only taken attendance in 2016 once for adult choir. But here you can see each individual name based on how many times we've marked attendance. It's telling me the percent present, a total. And the little asterisk tells us this indicates whether they took communion. We didn't give communion at the adult choir. Here's our Bible study. Here we go. This is a little more full. Our Sunday AM worship, we can see for each of the individuals, it gives us a little check mark if they attended. If they did not attend, it's just blank. And then the little asterisk is indicating by that check mark that they did take communion that Sunday. But very detailed report. And that would probably be better to view in landscape. We can do that in the upper left here, change it to landscape. At least for this Sunday AM worship. The groups and classes, those fit pretty well in the portrait style. But here we go. We can get a lot more of that Sunday AM worship attendance. Whoops. How did I get to the top of the page? There we go. It fits a little better going across the page. All right. That was a whirlwind tour, and I only went 2 minutes over, of the attendance reports, the ones that are already preset in the program. If you entered a little late, the material for this is in the Membership 202 book, starting on page 35. I printed out the pages and did not even flip through them. I did not keep my head in the material, because I really just wanted to show you each of those reports and what's on them. Again, those are under reports attendance, and it's the 4 basic reports here. I did not see any questions come in. Are there questions? That was a lot to throw at you in 20 minutes. And there's a lot on those reports I don't think I was even able to go into, because there's just, you can do so much with the program now. It's just, I think it's overwhelming if you're used to the old one compared to all the new things. But once you learn it and you get used to it, it's just fabulous. It can do so much more now than the old program. Any questions? Where do you find recorded webinars are on our website. If you go to www.churchwindows.com, if you go, I usually guide people over to this blue area, supporting. I get lost in the little menus at the top still. Right here in the middle, documents and videos. If you click on that, that takes you to the page where you can see the most current ones are always up at the top. Even some, if you're on a different version, 17, 18, and 19, that's where membership really changed, was with the beginning of 17. But there's a lot of similarities between some things in 17, 18, and 19. Again, I don't think the attendance changes occurred until 18, but I'm almost 50 and my memory does not remember things as well. So there have been so many great changes coming along between 17, 18, 19. I apologize that I can't remember exactly which version included the attendance change, but I'm pretty sure it's 18. But a lot of these videos, even if you're looking at an older one versus a newer one, some of the changes are just a tab was named something different, or we added something. So even some of the older videos are still useful. What I like is right up here in the upper right, just to the left of the Contact Us, there's a magnifying glass. If you click in there, it brings up a blue bar where you can type a keyword. I love our new website. You couldn't do this on our old website. I typed in attendance, and it's bringing up anything it finds with the word attendance in it. There's videos, documents, all kinds of things. All kinds of things versus or pertaining to attendance. Now this webinar, I know when we have webinars during the week, usually on Thursday, as long as support isn't really super busy and Robert can get away from being on the phone helping people out, he comes in here and standardizes, cleans up, puts a little Church Windows logo at the beginning of the recorded webinars, the ones that were recorded earlier in the week, and usually those are added to our website on Thursdays. So unless things have changed or it's really busy on Thursday, what I'm recording right now should be on our website Thursday. But I think there's all kinds of neat things already on the website as well. It's version 18 attendance, but I think they'd still help you if you have questions and we're not available. Maybe you're working late or something. All right, more questions. I can keep talking. I'm very talkative. We're at 12:26, so if you need to leave the room, just close out with a little X on the toolbar, but Ross and I can stick around if anybody has more questions. All right, if you're in the middle of typing a question, I would go ahead and hit enter, and then you can type the rest of it, and that way it'll just alert me that you're typing a question, and I won't close the room before you get your question typed out. All right, I do not see any half typed questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar for today. Thank you so much for attending, and take a look at what we have to offer for April webinars. If a question comes up later, give us a call or email support@churchwindows.com. Again, thanks for attending, and everybody have a great day. Bye.